Okay, back to the business case again, because this fascinates me. My last book before this one was called Gusher of Lies, The Dangerous Delusions of Energy Independence. And in that book, I debunked the idea that the U.S. can be independent of the global market in energy, oil, natural gas, coal, et cetera. But you're well aware that over the past few years, this idea of foreign oil is demonized. Boone Pickens, he's on television, oh, we got to quit buying foreign oil. OPEC is evil. Oil fosters terrorism. You've heard all these arguments. What's interesting when you talk about, though, this idea we need to reduce oil consumption, we need to reduce imports, is this. In 2007, the U.S. imported oil or oil products from 90 different countries. We export the U.S. exports an average of about 2 million barrels of oil per day. Yeah, we're the world's biggest importer. We also happen to be one of the biggest exporters because our refineries are among the best in the world. So when we talk about oil and being independent of the global oil market, there has never been a more open, more global, more liquid, more transparent market than today's market in oil. Nothing else even comes close in terms of size, liquidity, transparency, et cetera. In 2008, 21 different countries produced 1 million barrels of crude oil per day or more. And so people say, well, the Saudi Arabia is bad, the Iranians are bad, whatever. To me, the key point here is that in this headlong rush to go green, to reduce oil imports, et cetera, the U.S. is likely just trading one form of import dependence for another. Instead of relying on a market that is incredibly diverse, incredibly liquid, incredibly transparent, we are going to go to one that is controlled by one market player where there is no price transparency, there is no clearinghouse. Most all of the contracts are done bilaterally, smuggling is rife, and you have one market maker. So it is an incredible kind of transition in terms of thinking about what is the sustainability of this business, how does this business operate, versus what we're dealing with now. Okay, I'm past my 10 minutes. A couple of quick points. The Chinese understand what's going on. The fact that their geology is favorable is just an accident of geology. The U.S. has a fairly large deposit of rare earths. We haven't been exploiting it. The Chinese have. But to begin exploiting these rare earth elements will take years, maybe decades. And the Chinese are going to exploit their favorable geology. Deng Xiaoping, the former leader of China, famously said, "There is oil in the Middle East, there are rare earths in China. We must take full advantage of this resource." China reportedly has 1,000 PhD level scientists who are working on technologies related to the mining and separation of rare earth elements, as well as ways to turn those elements into sellable products. Clearly, the Chinese have a view on this that of course, they can export the neodymium, they can export the lanthanum, they can export the dysprosium, et cetera. They don't want to sell you the lanthanides. They want to sell you the television that has the lanthanides in it. They don't want to sell you the hybrid electric drivetrain. They don't want to sell you the neodymium or lanthanum for the hybrid electric drivetrain. I'm sure they'd rather sell you the hybrid electric drivetrain itself. And what they are doing is encouraging companies that are interested and have a great need for lanthanides to, what else? Locate in China. So when I look at this, all this discussion about green jobs, et cetera, I look at it and I think, well, if there are going to be green jobs for these technologies with solar cells, wind turbines, et cetera, they are likely going to be made in China. Back to Molycorp real briefly. It is getting its mining operation up and running. It is now owned by Goldman Sachs and a couple of other venture capital firms. They're clearly hoping for an IPO sometime in the near term. There are a few other companies that are very highly speculative companies. Arafura Resources is one, Linus is another, they're Australian. There's a Canadian company whose name escapes me at the moment that is also have located ore bodies, but from what I understand, their ore bodies do not have the kind of the density of the ore body that is at Mountain Pass. The Mountain Pass ore body apparently has it's about 9% rare earth oxide, and that is a key issue. Couple more quick points. The availability of rare earths is not just about the automotive sector. It is about high technology. It is about the Defense Department. Today, the Government Accountability Office released a report looking at the DoD's reliance on rare earth elements. You can go to the GAO's website, gao.gov, and they talk about where the DoD is sourcing their rare earth elements, and they make it clear it is coming from China, and that there is going to be a fuller report issued in September on this very issue. Interestingly, one of the weapon systems they talk about in passing, it says they talked about the M1 tank. The M1 tank uses samarium cobalt magnets in its navigation system, and that samarium comes from China. Okay, so I've given you the quick primer on the lanthanides in terms of the business case, et cetera. I think that the clear ending point on this is that this issue is going to be more in the news in the coming years, and I think what we're seeing now is just the beginning of what we will see as China increases its control over these commodities. Quick addendum regarding algae. Jan gave you a quick overview. If you looked at when you came in, or if you've headed up toward the state preserve at Torrey Pines, on the other side of the street is a company called Synthetic Genomics. It was just a few months ago that ExxonMobil announced a $600 million deal that they are going to get involved with Synthetic Genomics on the potential creation of algae-based fuels. Note, they said up to $600 million. They're not giving $600 million to Synthetic Genomics. Synthetic Genomics was founded by Craig Venter. He's a billionaire, was involved in the Human Genome Project, well-known guy. A lot of that money ExxonMobil is going to spend itself, but Synthetic Genomics is, they're master promoters, and they have talked about algae and their ability to generate new types of algae, new types of life form with new DNA that they insert into cells. I am not I am very cautious about the whole concept of algae because the problems of logistics, the vast quantities of water, the problems of contamination. Algae may work, but and I fully take Jan's points on it, but I think that what I see happening with ExxonMobil and their press release on this, and they've made hay with some of the advertisements on it, this is just them hedging their bet. Right? ExxonMobil is a $500 billion market cap company. For them to say to allocate $600 million to this kind of project, one, they get good PR, but second, when you think about what their expenditures would be for a wildcat well somewhere in ultra deep water, we're talking $1 billion project. For them to commit really $300 million or less to the company across the street, they're hedging their bets and saying, well, this might work, and it's a heck of a lot cheaper than trying to go out and drill a wildcat that may or may not be successful. This is essentially a cheap wildcat for them. So I'll stop there. I appreciate your attention. Thank you.